Okay. Sometimes the screens get mixed up and a little backwards, and so glad you guys can see all this. So, good evening. For those of you I haven't met yet, I am Dr. Steve Davis. I'm the founder of Bluegrass Natural Health. We're a naturopathic clinic in Lexington, Kentucky. We specialize in irritable bowel, chronic gut dysfunction, and everything that has to do with your gut, everything that has to do with, um, you know, all the different functions and everything that tend to come with irritable bowel. And so, we deal constantly with things like brain fog, fatigue, hormone imbalances, anxiety, gut disruption, skin issues, all those different things. And so, we're going to kind of touch on those a little bit. I think the most important part is that we take a root cause approach to treating all these issues, right? A functional medicine approach where we're actually diving in and trying to identify what it is that is actually causing what you guys are struggling with. And I just lost my screen. Okay. So, um, tonight we're going to be talking about sleep. This is our sleep workshop. We're going to be talking about how your gut is impacted by sleep, but also how sleep impacts your gut. It's kind of a two-edged sword. And so we're going to take the analogy of a big roaring fire right now. And what we tend to see is if you imagine that your IBS is uh, fire inside your body, and as the flames increase, your symptoms tend to increase also. So the bloating increases, the constipation increases, the diarrhea, urgency, the food reactions, anxiety, all those things tend to increase as inflammation and as your IBS stuff reacts. And so what we really want to do is we want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to taper down the flames and to smother it. And so what we're really aiming for is symptom remission. And so we have to figure out what the actual coals underneath that fire are and what we think is making them burn out of control. And we do a lot of that through testing. In actuality, there's a lot that needs to be identified because we look at things like genetics that can play a big piece in it. Hormones plays a big piece. Sleep plays a big part of it. Stress issues, detox, could be blood sugar imbalances, or even just your nervous system being on overload. And for some of you guys, it's one thing, but for several people, it can be many things. And because each of you is so
Where is it?
individual, we can't find
Oh,
a
for
one
crying
size
out
fits
loud.
all approach to what's going on. Okay. And so we have to look in detail, we have to test, and we have to assess you in order so that we really know what's going on. And so today, um, sleep is one of the major contributors to gut dysfunction, and we want to see if sleep is influencing your irritable bowel. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to do five things throughout this workshop this evening. Is number one, we're going to look at the importance of sleep and how it influences your body. We're going to look at different types of stress, whether they're short term, long term, and how that affects your sleep. We're going to look at the stages of sleep and why that matters. We're going to review sleep disturbances and their impact on your overall health. And we're going to complete a sleep assessment at the towards the end of this, and we're going to interpret it. I want you to kind of understand what it is that is driving your sleep issues. What is it? Is it your sleep that is affecting irritable bowel? Is irritable bowel affecting your sleep? And again, taking a root cause approach so that we can treat sleep as a clue about your overall health and use that to improve your gut rather than doing things that are really going to harm your gut. Okay. And so when we talk about the importance of sleep, really there's four main things that we want to look at because sleep is critical for irritable bowel patients. Alrighty. So number
Yeah.
one is we want to take a look at hormone regulation. Okay. Your body makes most of the melatonin while you're asleep, and melatonin is a sleep hormone. Okay. Now, it's more than just that. It also is anti-inflammatory. It protects the gut lining. It also, your body releases growth hormones while you're sleeping. And those growth hormones, they aid in tissue repair and healing. So if you're not getting adequate sleep, and we'll talk about this continually throughout the workshop here, if you're not getting adequate sleep, specifically deep sleep, your body isn't going to be able to recover well. And so if you have IBS, your gut lining repair isn't going to happen as effectively as what we want it to. But also on top of that, sleep also balances out two hunger hormones. One of is called leptin, the other one is ghrelin. And the two of them, one of them makes you hungry, and the other one tells you that you're not hungry anymore. And so we want to make sure that we're churning those on and off at the appropriate times so that um, we are eating when we should and not eating when we shouldn't be. Okay. But when sleep is poor, cravings tend to increase. Your sugar intake tends to increase because you're eating unnecessary calories. And then the calories are usually poor quality, and that causes blood sugar swings to increase. So rather than maintaining stable energy throughout the day, you get these peaks and troughs that cause your body's um, energy levels, attention spans, all these different things to to constantly be going on this roller coaster. And that unstable blood sugar, it actually is going to feed gut inflammation even more. Okay. The next thing is we're going to be looking at immune function. Now, 70% of your immune system actually lives in your gut. So if you're
Right.
somebody who's chronically getting sick, like every month you're getting sick, chances are that your gut is in worse shape than you actually think it is. So during sleep, T cell production actually increases. T cell are those fighter cells that help to fight off inflammation, fight off infections. And cytokine regulation also improves during sleep.
No.
So when cytokines, those are one of those things that help to regulate inflammation. They also are kind of like they are the communicators, the flags. Your body, when there are foreign invaders in your body, whether it's food particles, bacteria, parasites, uh, viruses, cytokines earmark those things and uh, and create an inflammatory reaction that causes your body to attack those items specifically. Now, if sleep is poor, immune balance in the gut becomes dysregulated. And IBS is fundamentally an immune dysfunction of the gut lining, right? You're letting all these pathogens in, and that's really how you communicate with the world is through your gut. Okay. So the next thing we want to look at is going to be cellular repair. Okay. The DNA process, most of your DNA processes happen while you're actually asleep. The gut lining is regenerating itself rapidly, but it needs that deep sleep to do it efficiently. If you're not getting to deep sleep, you're not doing it very well. The glymphatic system is like your lymphatic system, but the glymphatic system is specific for your brain. It's how your brain detoxes everything at night. And so during the night while you're asleep, the glymphatic system is actually clearing waste out of your brain to help reduce inflammation. And that process is impaired when inflammation rises. And the inflammation fuels IBF or IBS, sorry. And then the last thing we want to look at and why sleep is so important is because it's a big piece of disease prevention. Okay. Poor sleep increases inflammation, insulin resistance, anxiety, depression, fog, and a lot more. Those are just a few of it. So let me ask you guys here, just raise your hands. Let me see who's actually listening and paying attention here. But how many of you guys have IBS and anxiety at the same time? Okay. Yeah, I see those hands. How about IBS and fatigue? Okay. So sleep disturbances, they affect memory, they affect learning, they affect your emotional regulation. And also your nervous system is when it's unstable, your gut is unstable. And so really you have to consider all these different things that are going on that are causing anxiety, that are causing fatigue. And quite often they stem back to your gut. And those things are going to be
What are
regulated
these?
or
What are
dysregulated
these people?
based on the amount of sleep that you're getting. Alrighty. So let's talk a little bit about sleep and daytime stress. Alrighty. So because this is where sleep and IBS really tend to connect. When you're stressed out, your HPA axis activates. The HPA axis is how your brain communicates with your adrenals.
No, we don't need
Right. A lot
that.
of us know the adrenals as where we make cortisol. Cortisol is that stress response in our body. It's the thing that gives us energy when during a good time. It's not
Yeah,
cortisol isn't always bad, but if it's
no,
not regulated well, then it can be bad for your body. So we want to make sure
we
that
don't want that
when
either.
you're stressed, the HPA axis
We don't
is
want
going to
this off.
activate and release
Yeah.
cortisol. I'm going to just ask if you guys aren't muted right now, if you guys can go ahead and mute so it's not interrupting other people from hearing stuff, okay? Thanks, you guys. But cortisol shifts your body over a long period of time into this fight or flight state. And so that fight or flight state can mess with digestion. And really, if you're in that fight or flight state, it causes things with digestion to slow down. Processes don't happen as well. And when stress is high, your stomach acid drops. So you're not breaking down food very well. The motility in your stomach slows down. And permeability, meaning the food particles and stuff getting through the gut lining and into your bloodstream actually increases. And that's where you start to hear things about leaky gut. Okay. You you digest poorly during the day. And then when cortisol stays elevated at night, when you're supposed to really be absorbing all the nutrients and increase in GI motility, because cortisol stays elevated, you can't fall asleep and those processes don't happen. Okay. So now, because repair isn't happening, you end up in this cycle. Okay. And on the mental side, stress actually increases, and overthinking uh, tends to put you at a disadvantage when it comes time for bed. You end up with these racing thoughts. You end up with planning things out for tomorrow. You start to replay these conversations in your head. But here's what's important, okay? Gut inflammation increases anxiety signaling. So we really want to get that gut inflammation down as low as possible so that we calm down the anxiety, the depression, the mood swings that actually happen. And so sometimes that racing mind isn't just a psychological issue that you're struggling with or that you're dealing with. It's actually an inflammatory cycle. And so we have to break that loop. We have to shift from the nervous system into a more regulated type process. And when the nervous system calms down, the gut improves, sleep improves, healing can start to happen. All right. Um, Now, in this slide, this is where many of my IBS clients realize that this is me. This is what I'm struggling with. This is what I'm going through. So I want to walk through this real quick here. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the effects that this has on your body. Okay. When stress goes for too long, we talked about this a second ago, your adrenal system starts to get dysregulated, right? Your fight or flight state or that excess cortisol that your body's making because of inflammation or because of blood sugar swings, it causes the adrenals to become dysregulated. And so now cortisol, rather than you getting a flush for energy or to get something done real quick, now cortisol stays high and it eventually wipes out your adrenals. After it wipes out your adrenals and you go into something called adrenal fatigue, that cortisol response drops way down low and it flattens out. And that's called burnout. Okay, that's where your body just feels exhausted. You can't sleep deep anymore. Your mitochondria, which are the energy factories in your cells, they become impaired. Cellular energy starts to drop. And when that energy drops, again, your gut motility slows down. The repair process slows down. Inflammation tends to linger longer because you're not able to detox. And that's why many people feel tired all day and then wired at night is because their system is depleted and they're not able to rest. Okay. Now, on your mind, let's take a look at that for a second because mental tiredness creates poor sleep quality, right? You would think that if you're exhausted, your brain has been going all day, you're firing all day, that you'd be able to close your eyes and go to sleep. But it really is the other way around, especially when it's accompanied by all this inflammation. So you sleep for 8 hours and you wake up unrefreshed. Does that sound familiar to any of you guys? Um, and when that happens, your brain fog increases, decision making gets harder because you become indecisive, emotions start to feel unstable. And when the brain can't properly shift between different stages of sleep, like REM and deep sleep, those start to suffer. And so the quality of your sleep goes way down. Okay, so you get less REM sleep. And that means that you're not able to process the emotions. And then less deep sleep means you can't physically repair. Okay. And so for an IBS client, that means slower gut healing. Tana, hang on to that question. We'll get to it when we're all done here. Okay. Now, the last section here is with regards to the physical and mental piece is the deep sleep reset. Okay. Now, in this section, we want to talk about how we're going to go ahead and get you reset. How do we restore a rhythm within your body, right? And we do this through supporting cortisol. We do it through supporting mitochondrial energy. That's the little energy factories inside each individual cell. And then we also support gut health and we work to reset your circadian rhythm. Because if we don't fix that system as a whole, you're going to stay in this burned out mode. And the burned out body doesn't repair itself efficiently. So if we restore energy at the cellular level and remove the inflammation, your sleep is going to improve naturally. And if sleep improves, then gut repair improves too. Does that make sense? Now, there's different stages of sleep, and we'll talk about each of those here real quick. Okay. So REM sleep is going to be the deepest sleep, rapid eye movement, but there's several other uh, pieces outside of that. So as you shift from being awake to falling asleep, your brain starts to produce these theta waves. And these theta waves, at the same time, your muscles begin to relax and you lose some of the tension in your body so that you're able to function a little bit better. Stage is going to be, the majority of your sleep. This is about 50% of your sleep. And it's where you start to create sleep spindles and protective waves known as K complexes. And when that happens, your memories start to strengthen. You're able to consolidate the things that have happened throughout the day. And then that takes up, like I said, 50% of your sleep. The next stage is stage 3. This is your deep sleep. And in this stage, this is where the delta waves start to rule your brain activity. These are
Huh?
long, slow waves that help
I
with
don't know.
repair and growth. So this is also
Shannon just got
when a
on.
lot of the growth hormones are released throughout your body. Okay.
No, she told
And
me.
then the last one
He
is
sent
going to
you
be REM
a
sleep.
message.
Okay, so REM sleep is going to be, where your eyes are darting side to side. These are those quick, rapid eye movements. That's what REM stands for. And this is where brain activity ramps up. It's where you start to mimic the activities of being awake. This is where you have your dreams. This is where storytelling in your head takes place. So if you're having a super vivid dream, you're in that REM cycle. Most of the time, if you're getting a really good amount of REM in your sleep cycle, you're getting somewhere between about an hour and 15 minutes and an hour and 50 minutes during an 8-hour cycle. So that's really what you're aiming for, okay? Now, common sleep disturbances. Let's talk about a few of those. The first few are going to be hormonal in nature. And because when hormones are off, sleep is going to be off, right? So let's go through these a little bit one at a time. The first thing is going to be progesterone. When progesterone, which is one of the calming hormones that your body makes, it really enhances GABA. Now, GABA, we've all heard that GABA is super important for sleep. It helps to slow down your brain. It's one of those main neurotransmitters that's going to help your body relax. And so when progesterone drops, whether it's because of perimenopause, because of menopause, because of chronic stress, or maybe just some other hormone imbalance, GABA is going to drop and it becomes harder to fall asleep. It becomes harder to stay asleep. And then you feel calm at night. Or you, sorry, yeah, it becomes harder to stay asleep, fall asleep, and you can't calm down because GABA production is going to be dampened. Okay. So, and also, uh, if If GABA is low, you're going to feel restless, you're going to feel wired, you're going to feel edgy. So, there's a gut connection because the GABA is made in your gut to low progesterone. But also low progesterone can also alter the gut motility, meaning the amount of movement and the peristaltic uh, patterns that push stool through your bowel slows down a lot. And so you can end up with constipation on top of it. And that's why many women during their periods or during that time of month, notice IBS symptoms start to flare. Okay, and it's not just this random thing that always happens. It's actually part of the cycle because progesterone increases during the second half of your cycle. And so, if your gut is a mess, progesterone drops because you're not making enough when it's expected. You're going to end up with these gut flares throughout your cycle. Okay. The next thing we're going to look at is cortisol. Now, cortisol should be high in the morning and low at night. But when stress is chronic, cortisol tends to stay elevated. And that nighttime cortisol is going to disrupt your sleep wake cycle, right? So you're struggling to fall asleep, or you're awake at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because your cortisol spikes in the middle of the night. Now your mind is turned on. And cortisol doesn't just affect sleep, that's where we feel it the most, but it also increases gut permeability. So it opens up those tight junctions in your gut and allows toxins to go through. It also is going to alter the gut motility. Cortisol is one of those things that's going to expedite stool transit time. So you end up with diarrhea or loose bowel movements. And then on top of that, it also increases inflammation. So high cortisol is going to equal poor sleep and worse irritable bowel symptoms. Okay. And number three is blood sugar imbalances. This is huge and it's quite often overlooked because if your blood sugar drops during the night, and we talked about this last week during our Q&A, your body releases cortisol to bring it back up. It's a process called glyconeogenesis. Glyco is sugar, new, genesis is the creation. So you're creating these new sugar because of the cortisol release. And that spike wakes you up. And so you might experience in the middle of the night, you get night sweats, you get heart racing or palpitations, you wake up with anxiety, or you have this sudden alertness all of a sudden at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you just can't get rid of it. And now here's the IBS connection to that. Okay. Unstable blood sugar feeds that inflammation, and then it feeds dysbiosis, meaning an imbalance in the bacteria in your gut, and then it worsens gut sensitivity. And it's really a loop that happens, right? Poor sleep creates worse blood sugar control, which creates more inflammation and then worse sleep. And the cycle just continues and continues. So, what I want to see on this slide is that if we ignore hormones, uh, we really can't fix sleep. If we struggle to fix sleep, we will struggle to calm down the gut. And so this is why we have to assess both our hormones, why we assess our gut, and why we have to look at blood sugar regulation and cortisol as part of this whole package of fixing things. Okay. Now, on top of those hormone issues, we're also going to be looking at a racing mind. What are some of the other things that contribute to that? Okay. And that can be things like physiological factors. And those are things like anxiety, perfectionism. Those are extremely common in IBS. Many of you guys are high achievers. You push through discomfort. You think your way through a problem, but then at night, you try and turn to those same fixes of overthinking things, and you're replaying conversations in your head, you're planning out tomorrow, you're analyzing everything, trying to figure out what that is that we can do to fix this. And really, it's not going to work because there's unresolved emotional stress that keeps your brain on alert. And the brain doesn't have the ability to shift into a sleep pattern when it's still dealing with all that stress. Okay. Then you have neurobiological factors. And this is another one of those pieces that a lot of people miss because overexcitement in the nervous system is going to block relaxation. And so if you've been in fight or flight all day, your body doesn't just flip the switch at bedtime, right? Taking trazodone or Ambien isn't going to calm down that fight or flight reaction. And it might help you sleep, but it's doing more damage because of the physiological chemicals that are now impacting the rest of your body because it's slowing your gut down, it's changing the microbiome, and it's really dampening everything else that you're really looking for. And so you have to remember that your gut produces serotonin. If your gut's inflamed, the neurotransmitters balance is going to be off. And then you have low serotonin, which is going to lead to poor conversion into melatonin, your sleep hormone. And then you have a harder time falling asleep. And then sometimes that racing mind, it isn't just physiologic, it's really that biochemical piece where that melatonin is off, the serotonin is off, right? And then the last thing here is how those all impact your sleep. Okay. And so when you talk about increased sleep time, falling asleep, can't do it because you just can't shut your brain off. You have more awakenings in the middle of the night. You reduce slow wave sleep, which means that there's less physical repair in your body, right? You're not getting to that deep sleep that you need or that third stage of sleep that you need for repair. And so for somebody with IBS, less deep sleep means less healing. And then you go on to the next day and you're facing the same struggles and stresses again, and you haven't had time to recuperate from the day before. So again, it's not about the thoughts. It's about the nervous system tone. And if we can calm the nervous system, we can calm the mind. And then if we calm your mind, your sleep improves. Remember, your body has to feel safe in order to go through these processes. And so when sleep improves, the gut begins to stabilize. And so, yes, it is partly that your sleep is impacting your IBS, but it's also that your IBS is impacting your sleep. It really is a two-edged sword. And so really these are the common sleep disturbances when we talk about different types of insomnia, because insomnia isn't, it's kind of used as a catch-all, but really there are layers to it. Okay. So the different types of insomnia, we're going to have acute, we're going to have chronic, we have onset insomnia, and we have maintenance insomnia. Okay. Onset is short term. It's something that happens for a few weeks because of a stressful situation in your life, an acute health issue, and it goes away. Chronic is something that happens for months or years at a time. Onset insomnia is referring to the inability to fall asleep, and maintenance insomnia is referring to the inability to stay asleep throughout the night. And so in IBS clients, maintaining insomnia is extremely common, especially those 2 and 3 a.m. wake up calls. Okay. And so some of the contributing factors to this are going to be psychological, they're going to be medical, biological, environment, lifestyle. They're all different things, right? And so IBS usually has more than one of these associated with it. So a couple of examples we talked about them a second ago. Psychological would be things like anxiety or overthinking stuff. Medical type factors are going to be gut pain, so you're in discomfort. It could be things like bloating. Maybe you lay down and instantly you have reflux. So those are different medical issues that are going to affect it. Biologic, we talked about cortisol dysregulation, we talked about hormone imbalances, we talked about blood sugar swings. And then the environmental pieces are you in front of a screen all day, all night? You know, is a phone, an iPad, a computer, a TV, do you always have something in front of your face up until the time you go to bed? That's going to affect your sleep hygiene. Okay. And then maybe lifestyle pieces are things like caffeine or irregular schedules for those of you who work night shifts all the time, or you're working night shifts 3 days a week, and then the other 4 days you have to rotate back. Those are going to be hard things that are going to be contributing to sleep disruption. And that's why we like to do testing rather than just guessing, because there's a lot that has to do with this. Okay. Now, some of the short-term effects that you can feel with this is going to be things like fatigue, irritability, fogginess in your brain, unable to concentrate on tasks. And what does that really do to you? It lowers your stress tolerance. Okay. Lower stress tolerance increases your cortisol, and then that increased cortisol is going to make your IBS symptoms worse again. So we're going back into that same type of loop that exacerbates or makes those sleeping symptoms worse. Okay. And so the long-term consequences of this are going to be things like increased inflammation, immune dysregulation or inability to repair your body. It accelerates your mental decline. Because remember, we talked about that inflammation being reduced through the lymphatic system. So now you have a lot more inflammation in your brain. Okay. And remember, 70%, like I said before, 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. And so if sleep stays broken long term, your gut healing stays impaired long term. Insomnia isn't just inconvenient, it's really an inflammatory reaction that's going to affect your health long term. And so your gut stays on fire if we don't address the root cause of everything. Alrighty. So here's just an example. Sorry, my picture got cut off here on the left, but this is an example of, for those of you, how many of you guys wear sleep trackers or use a sleep tracker? There's a lot of them out there. There's like an Aura ring. There's Whoop, which is a wristband. It can be worn on your wrist or your body. Some people have smartwatches that do it, like Apple Watches. Amazon has one. Garmin has one. There's a lot of them out there. They're not very expensive, but they are a great way to track your sleep. And so this picture over on the left here, this is from somebody who got 7 hours and 15 minutes of sleep. This is their sleep cycle, this pattern over here on the left. And if you look at the bottom of that 7 hours in bed, they spent essentially 2 hours of that time awake. They only spent an hour of REM, and they spent 5 hours in light sleep and only 24 minutes in deep sleep. So when you look at that, you can just look and say, okay, this person's not sleeping well. This is what is the kind of impact this is going to have on their gut and their ability to heal. And so, really, this is somebody who is going to have a hard time on the next day because they're not repairing their gut. They're not getting the rest that they need. Okay. And so, that inefficiency in sleep is going to cause a lot of issues when it comes to healing your body. And so we want to make sure that we are increasing our deep sleep, increasing our REM sleep as much as possible, because otherwise cortisol is just going to continue to cause a worsening gut experience here. Okay. Now, some of the medical and substance medications and substances that can impact this stuff is going to be things like your antidepressants, which can suppress REM sleep, alcohol. It actually causes fragmented sleep. Caffeine and nicotine can reduce deep sleep. And so sometimes we can actually fall asleep quickly, but we don't ever get that restorative sleep because some of these other lifestyle pieces that we have are going to alter our ability to stay asleep or get into those deep sleep cycles. Okay. And so those consequences really cause mental impairment, emotional instability, weakened immunity, and an increased inflammation load. Okay. And so really it fuels the fire, right? And it's not about sleep quality. Or really it is about your sleep quality, but it's also about the little parts of the sleep that we're getting. Are we getting the deep sleep? Are we getting REM sleep? Okay. And that's one of the reasons why we want to measure a lot of this stuff, because we want to make sure that we are doing what we can to decrease the inflammation and actually make the changes in our lifestyle and our exposures to benefit us when it comes to sleep. Okay. So this is where we're going to start looking at uh, the assessments. Okay. Now, the assessment is really a comprehensive look at the sleep patterns, the quality of sleep. Do you have sleep disturbances, and how does that impact your daily function? And so, really, what this does is it allows us to take a personalized approach so that we can consider the interplay between these other health factors that can be contributing to poor sleep. And then at the end, when we go and analyze it, it's going to give us personalized strategies based on your scores to help with tracking, to help with understanding where our baseline is at today. Because what we want to really do is we want to look at the foundation of sleep. Are we doing things that are going to be um, beneficial when it comes to like sleep hygiene? What does our stress load look like? Is cortisol activation contributing to our inability to sleep? Is our circadian rhythm disrupted? How much does hormones play into this whole process? And then the sleep hygiene is, are we doing everything we can to set the stage to have a healthy night's sleep 2 hours before bedtime? So if we're getting in bed at 10, Are we doing things starting at 8 o'clock to shut our bodies down so that we can actually sleep better? And then do you have burnout? Do you have adrenal fatigue? Okay. So on the next piece here, I'm going to go ahead and in the chat, let me see here. In the chat, I'm going to open that up. I'm going to start dropping in, or I'm going to drop in a link here. I actually need to stop sharing to do this. Um, so if you go into the chat, uh, some of you guys have already done these assessments before, but if you click on this link, the first thing that you're going to see here is a screen that looks like this. You're going to be asked to create a login for the first time. If you're a first-time person on this, go ahead and click on the sign up button. It's going to ask you to enter some information about you as far as, just a name, birthday, email, and male or female, because the questions change a little bit based on whether you're male or female. There's going to be, a couple of different items within the test. I'm going to ask you to take those scores and put them into the chat once you're done. But again, click on the link, it takes you here, click on the sign up, and then from there, um, you're going to get a page that looks like this. And that, whoops, this page here, you're going to see there's several different assessments. And these are assessments that I would encourage you to go back on a monthly basis and do them to see what you're doing to improve your health. Are your scores improving on a regular basis? So down here on the bottom left is the sleep assessment. I'd ask you to go ahead and click on the start button and complete the survey. And once you're done, you're going to get scores A, B, C, D, and E. Take those scores and place them into the chat. That'll give me an idea that you're finished. And so I'm going to give you guys a few minutes here. Should probably only take you about 5 minutes to go through it. It's 60 questions, but they're all formatted very similarly. So really, there's only a couple words different with each thing. So again, click on the link. You'll go ahead, click on the sign up button, fill out the information on the next page, and then it's going to take you to this link for all the assessments. You're going to be clicking here on the sleep assessment on the bottom left, and then you're going to be starting to answer those questions. And go ahead and once you get those questions answered and you get your scores, go ahead and place those into the chat. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a few minutes now to go ahead and do that. If you have questions about this or you're struggling with this, let me know. I'll try and help you through it the best I can. But I want you to go ahead and get that started now, okay? And again, go ahead as you guys are finishing things up, place your scores into the chat. Write them down also so you have them in front of you so you can remember what they are. We're going to talk about what the different scores are, what those mean as we continue on here. All righty, I see that score. Thanks, Tana. Go ahead and
Sure.
actually write out the individual A, B, C, D, E so we can see what the individual scores actually look like.
Okay.
We'll take just another couple minutes here, 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and start talking about the individual scores. And Shannon, you can go ahead and log in through your other account if you have one, unless it doesn't have the same assessments on it. Um, but if you go back, let me see here. You know what you can do is just make up a new email address. It's probably not letting you because your old email address is associated with their account. But if you just create a new email address, it'll let you in. It doesn't have to be a valid one. So uh, if it's my favorite cake at yahoo.com, just type my favorite cake 2 at yahoo.com and it'll let you in. It's not very secure in that manner, but only you have the password to it. So it's not going to send you something to secure or anything like that or to validate it. So just make up your own email address and that'll be all you need to do. Ready? You guys all have your scores. Anybody need more time here? So for duration's sake, I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you still need a few more minutes to finish things up, do that. But we're going to get started. We're going to start talking about how we're going to assess these, what it looks like, and what you can do to start implementing better sleep into your day here, okay? So if we look at your scores, the first score, A, is really talking about sleep basics. It's talking about hygiene. These are things like, are you putting screens down before bedtime, right? We're approaching 8 o'clock, and so we're getting close to the 2 hour mark here when I'm going to try and go to sleep, usually around 10:30. And so being in front of a screen is poor sleep hygiene. That's just an example of it, okay? Or maybe you are eating. If you're going to bed at 10, we'll use that as a nice round number. Maybe you're going to the kitchen and you're getting a snack at like 9:30. That's not going to be very good as far as um, sleep hygiene is concerned, right? You're going to be having a harder time getting to sleep and doing stuff. Maybe it's making sure you're wearing blue blocker glasses at night. Maybe it's that you are turning the lights down. A lot of us use LED light bulbs now because that's all they sell at Home Depot and Lowe's anymore is LED. It's like they've outlawed incandescent bulbs. But those LED lights are also going to impact your sleep because of the amount of blue light they put out. Are you working out at night right before bed? That quite often raises your cortisol, makes it hard to sleep. So, what are your sleep basics? So, if your score is 0, then I don't know why you're here. But for most of you guys, I would imagine that you're here because you're struggling with your sleep. Now, your A scores, I'm seeing a couple of them here 20, 23. We want this score to be as low as possible. But if this score in itself is under like 8, then something we would recommend is just a wellness foundation pack. The purpose of this is we want to keep you in that state. Your body needs minerals, it needs vitamins to function on a regular basis. And quite often, our diets are not good enough to supply us with the vitamins, minerals, and things that we need. And so, the Wellness Foundation Pack it's got a multivitamin in it. So, you have all those micronutrients, all those vitamins and minerals that are going to help with spark in your life to keep things going. It's got vitamin D in it. Vitamin D is essential for over 200 different chemical reactions in your body. It's got magnesium in it. It's essential for over 700 different chemical reactions in your body. Plus, it's got some vitamin Bs that are going to help with neurologic function, help with inflammation, help with detoxification. And so that's why the Wellness Foundation Pack is super important. Okay. Now, I would recommend anybody and everybody to be on some kind of Wellness Foundation Pack. The next thing is B, and I can see a couple of you guys here. We've got a 14, we've got a 5. I'm guessing some of you are still working through your numbers, but this is a stress overload. If your B score is higher than 8, your body is stressed. Your adrenals are working on overtime. Cortisol is going to be really high. And so, listed are a couple of different supplements that are going to help to support your adrenals and help to calm down your nervous system to make it easier to sleep. So PS Calm does just that. It's something you take first thing in the morning. It helps to re-regulate your cortisol so that you can have a better cortisol pattern where you get that peak in the morning and then it slowly tapers off throughout the rest of the day. Most of you guys are familiar with GABA or melatonin. Those are two of the sleep hormones we discussed tonight. GABA is one of those where you typically are going to cycle it. So you're on it for like 4 or 5 days, and then you take 3 or 4 days off, and then you start over again. Melatonin, a lot of people don't like melatonin. I personally like it. I take it every night. It helps me to fall asleep, and I sleep wonderfully throughout the night with it. So a lot of people don't like it. They think it shuts off melatonin production in the pineal gland, which it does, depending on how much you take. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't shut off melatonin production in your gut. And so taking melatonin is not going to be bad for you. There's a lot of benefits for it, actually. So it's not as bad as a lot of people say it is. CalmX is another supplement that's great. And it's not that you have to take all of these. You can try them and see how each of them works with you. But these are just a couple of things that you would take. CalmX has a CBD derivative in it. And so really it's going to help to calming those neuro waves, helps to put you into a deeper sleep quicker. Okay. Now, for some of you guys, We're looking at your C scores. And for some of you, it looks like we've got C is a 13, I've got a 19. And you guys are my racing mind people. You're the ones who wake up in the middle of the night, that you're not able to sleep. Or it could be that you're not able to fall asleep because you're replaying all the actions of the day. Okay. You'll see the supplements there listed. There's a couple of repeaters, the GABA and the melatonin. But circadian is a supplement that's super good at re-regulating your circadian rhythm. Okay. All these are herbal based, by the way. And what circadian does, it's really good for if you're traveling, maybe you're that night shift worker who has to switch back and forth between days and nights all the time, so that you can spend time with family or do things during the day and then work all night. Circadian is great at helping your body to re-regulate that circadian rhythm. Okay. Maybe you are the burnt out exhaustion one. Maybe your D score is going to be over 6. And I'm guessing with the scores that we have here, a D9, Shannon's at a 78. Uh, Tana, I don't know what your D ended up at. I know that you told me you're a 55, so I'm only guessing that it's up. Oh, D is 9, sorry. So, you guys are definitely going to be in that higher range. This is the burnt out, the exhaustion, the adrenal fatigue. You guys are the ones who wake up after sleeping all night, if you were able to go to sleep, and you wake up and your body's achy. You slept all night and now you're still exhausted when you first wake up in the morning. Okay. These other supplements here, these are great for helping to allow your adrenals to relax. Recover and Magnol 1, they're two different supplements, work differently, but they're both going to do that same thing. So typically you would only try one or the other to see how you do. But then Stuck Free, and those two you would take during the day. Stuck Free is a great supplement if your body is really struggling with something to help get you over that edge. Maybe you're somebody who has gone through cancer treatment and your body is just overly fatigued and burned out. Stuck Free is going to help to boost metabolic function. It's going to help to increase methylation throughout your body, and it's going to help to relax and get your body moving again. Alrighty. And then for those of you who have an E score, this is only for the women here. Men, sorry, you don't have progesterone. But for those of you who have an E score 3 or greater, it looks like Sharon, um, you're the only one who posted an E score. But for those of you who have a score of 3 or above, this is indicating that your progesterone production is pretty low. And so Verdant Vitex is an herb. It's also chase tree is another name for the herb that's going to help to boost progesterone production. Remember, that's used to calm your body down so that you can actually sleep. The progesterone is going to be a calming thing on your body. A lot of gynecologists will say if you're going to take progesterone, they're going to encourage you to take it right before bed so that it helps you to sleep better. Okay. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of information as far as what the different supplements are, because a lot of you guys are seeing this below your score when you took the quiz. And so it's going to have a big impact on what your sleep is like. And I would recommend for a lot of these supplements, I'm going to actually put them into the chat here. I've got a lot of links directly to the supplements. If you're saying, hey, where do I get these? How do I get these supplements? Those links are now into the chat. So you can go in, you could look at them, explore them a little bit more. All those links are on my private e-store, all highly sought after professional grade supplements that you can go in and, see if any of these are going to be beneficial for you. They're not going to be detrimental in a way that you have to worry about overdosing on them or that it would be dangerous for you to take. But I would encourage you, try one or two of them at a time and see how they do with helping your body. Remember, we also have to incorporate a lot of these other issues, though, in looking at what your body is doing. And so when we looked at that first page of the quiz. I'm going to go back to that real quick. When you get to this page, you see that there's a lot of other um, assessments that you can do. So if you're struggling with gut stuff, take the gut assessment. Look at the inflammatory pathways that are going on in your body. Look at the histamine assessments. Look at the stress assessments, and identify where those things are where you're struggling at, and what can you do from a lifestyle perspective to manage those things a little bit better. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to focus on here is really looking at this Bluegrass community. These are the three different programs I offer through my clinic. But really today, I just want to focus on the Bluegrass community here. Um, for $99 a month, you are getting such an amazing deal, because what I've done is over the last several years, I put together a bunch of videos and these assessments that you've been taking here tonight. And the sole purpose of these is to really get down to the nitty-gritty of why you're feeling the way you're feeling. And to be able to do that at such a discounted rate is something I do for the community just because I want you to feel better, right? This is something that is going to work through the inflammatory pathways. It's going to reduce the toxins in your body, help you to detox, help you to get rid of that inflammation. It's going to, through the videos and the assessments that we just looked at and the videos that I've gotten there, we're also going to be able to identify different pathogens in your gut, meaning if it's a parasite, bacteria, viruses, yeasts, H. pylori, see if there's something in your gut that is actually contributing to your irritable bowel issues. And then from there, we work on hormones, we work on reestablishing a healthy microbiome, and then longevity pieces to get you to where you can actually go out and do things and not have to worry about where the bathroom is or what's on the menu, or is there going to be something at this party that I can actually go to. And so that Bluegrass community really is going to be packed full of resources and information to help you figure out what it is that's going on. Now, you might be somebody who wants more of a one-on-one customized protocol, and that's what these other two are for. Um, but really, we need to have a conversation about that if that's something you want to do, because we want to make sure that you're a good fit for that and that you're going to actually take that to the next step, be committed to it, and wanting to work through those issues. Now, the last screen here on this is really what are the next steps in your healing journey. For some of you, it is that $99 program, and definitely is something that we can help you work through. I really should have. Oh, it's right there on the work with me. I'm going to be putting these different um, resources into the chat now, so that I just realized I didn't post all those supplements. They're posted now into the chat. These different links are posted into the chat as well. The Work With Me page looks just like this one here. This is the page that comes up in the Work With Me, except right here underneath it, it's going to say, you want to learn more, you want to take advantage of that. That's where that link is going to be for you to sign up for that. If you're somebody who wants more of a one-on-one personal directed protocol where you're going to be doing testing and stuff, that's the purpose of this discovery call link here. It's also in your chat. You can click on that and add yourself to my calendar. But if you just want to get more information, this website and the private community are going to be great places for you to start, right? If you are just wanting to learn more about the clinic, learn about what the different resources we have for you are, go ahead and use the website link that's there. If you want to be part of our private community, I would recommend, if nothing else, become part of the private community. I post in there almost every day. I put articles out there, recipes, tips and tricks. There's challenges throughout the month. It gives you information about the different events we hold. I hold Q&As every Thursday night. They're normally not this long-winded. I don't like to talk this long normally. I want to hear from you guys. And so, the Q&As are a lot shorter as far as my teaching time. I probably spend 5 or 10 minutes teaching, and then I open it up for Q&A after that. So these are the different resources I have available for you right now. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just open it up for Q&A if you guys have any questions about this, or maybe something else that you're working through right now. Curtis, it's good to see you. Linda, good to see you too. Any questions at all for me?
I think I'm going to log back in after the meeting and just double check my scores that I have there.
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I tried logging in a couple times and I had to create a new account. And so while you were going through the others, I was madly trying to update mine. So I'll go
Okay.
back and listen and then take a look here.
Okay. Thanks for coming, Shannon. Hopefully we'll see you again next week, okay? See here, looking at the chat. So how do I get better sleep at night? I usually get my best sleep in the mornings. I think part of it is, looking to identify, Tana, what are the other struggles? I know, you've been here at these Q&As for the last several weeks, and I've heard a little bit of your story and what's going on. I think, part of it is we've got to figure out the other um, struggles that you're having, right? I know you have gut issues. I know that you have a lot of stress going on in your life, and so, really working to identify what those issues are, and the assessments that we just went through, the sleep assessment, and then looking at the stress, the gut, the inflammation, going through those assessments is going to give you a good idea, a good direction of where to go. Um, if you were to look into that $99 program, it's going to do a lot more teaching outside of what we're doing here. Those videos are 5 to 7 minutes long, and they're going to help you to really um, nail down and narrow down your focus as to what is causing the gut dysfunction, what is contributing to your stress or those high cortisol levels. Most likely, there's some blood sugar imbalances. I know you're in that middle age where some of your hormones are going to be out of balance as well. And I know that you've had a lot of gut issues. And so you probably have cortisol imbalances. It's causing gut dysregulation. But really, without testing or doing the assessments, it's going to be hard to identify truly what is going to be the best thing. Now, what I would encourage you to do is do those assessments, right? Try and identify what it is that you're struggling with more. What are the inflammation pieces that are causing um, and contributing to increased inflammation, increased cortisol, and gut dysbiosis? But also make sure that you're doing things to practice good sleep hygiene, right? We're calming down our nights. We're eating no closer than 3 hours to bedtime. We have a consistent bedtime every night. You're getting in bed whether you go to sleep or not at 10 a.m. or sorry, at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, and putting your body in that mindset. Remember, we're also shutting off screens. And maybe even taking one or two of these supplements that we talked about is going to be something that is really going to help with balancing out your circadian rhythm, to decreasing the cortisol surges that you're struggling with throughout the evenings and into the night. Doing stuff like that is going to be beneficial for you and help you through the sleep disruption that you're going through. So I hope that helps answer some of that question.
Okay, yes, thank you. Yeah, a lot of those things I probably don't really do correctly because I do a lot of screen time and I usually have a TV on when I go to bed a lot of times. And or I'm looking at my phone, not all the time, but quite often. And there's several factors there that I could probably work on a little better. Sometimes when I'm really busy, I won't eat, really eat dinner. I'll just eat a snack at 10 o'clock at night because I'm so hungry. And so there's probably a lot of things there that I could work on.
Yeah. I think everybody has a little place to work on stuff at some point,
Yeah,
and it's just a matter
yeah,
of seeing where you're at currently and identifying those issues and being able to work through them in the moment.
right, right.
Anything else from anybody? Hetty, Sharon, anything from you guys?
Um, I had to step away for a little bit. So, and I was trying to do the assessment, but I couldn't, it wasn't
That's
working very well on my phone.
So this is going to be the sessions are recorded, they're put into the workshops. And so you'll have access to those as well through the community. So you'll be able to go back and rewatch them. And if you need issues, I know we're meeting next week. So, if you have questions at that point, we could also go through those too.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Anything else from anybody? Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close out the meeting here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me to the end here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Tana, I know that you keep mentioning you want to schedule a discovery call. I just want to encourage you to do that to help get you started, get you moving in the right direction.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I had company from out of town all weekend and then Valentine's Day and then I just started another part-time job, so it's just yeah,
Yeah,
it's been really busy, but yeah, I definitely want to do that. So
life happens, right?
yeah, for sure. Yep.
Alrighty. Well, you guys have a
Yeah.
great night. Look forward to seeing you guys next week at our Q&A, okay?
Okay,
Okay,
you
thank
too.
you. Have a
All
Good
good
right.
night.
week.
Have a good night.
Yep, good night. Bye.